So speaking of, when I started, right, in 2013, my own like 3/8 thing, I'm like, man, I'm gonna go all in on myself. And I set up in my basement of my home. I had a room there, and I'm like, okay, if I can build and scale it here, I can essentially do it anywhere.
Yeah.
So I did, and then throughout that process, I read The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss, and I also read the book that I gave you, The Time Management for Entrepreneurs by Dan S. Kennedy. Then I started seeing like little holes and flaws in my schedule, because at first I was just open 7 days a week, come whenever you want. And then I ended up narrowing it down to just Thursday through Saturday. And I'm like, oh, dang, okay. So what it does is it frees up 4 days a week, and I'm cool to do whatever I want. If I need to do stuff at home, I want to spend time with the kids, vacation, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Then that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I was making a full-time income. I condensed my times, because there would be a lot of times where I'd book like an hour haircut. A lot of clients don't take an hour to cut their hair, even a good haircut. And it's like, dang, okay. So then I chopped 15 minutes off, and that 15 minutes made a huge difference.
Yeah.
And then having people just come in back to back and just a nice flow. Then I started making more money, right? Because I started fitting more people in, and then life was just super good.
This is like what year? What time period?
2019.
2019.
2019. Gotcha. I started cutting hair for means of living 2017, the summer 2017. It's like July 4th weekend or something.
How was that switch? Did something happen where you're like, I'm all in now?
That was a trying time in my life, really. I was just hit like 1,000 hours in barber school. You need 1,500 to finish.
Okay.
Or I might have been a little over 1,000. I had a buddy was telling me, oh, hey, come work with me. He's like, you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you never feel ready, And I was even talking to the instructor while I was still working my full-time job. And I'm like, I don't know, like I have the opportunity. She's like, you're never ready. Like, you just got to go. And then I end up like ironically seeing like a meme or whatever. And it was just like talking about that essentially, like you're never ready. It's never going to be perfect timing. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dang. All right. So.
All right, God, I see the signs.
Right, exactly. And if this is wrong, please don't let me quit my job. And yeah, man. So I end up going ahead and I started, and scary, super scary. But what I did too before that was I was almost kind of creating this positive energy or aura on social media, right? Like I knew I had a good amount of friends on social media.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of like positive stuff I was just always pushing out. And then sometimes I see people, they're like, man, dude, I really like the stuff you've been posting, like this and that, blah, blah, blah. Because to me, I was thinking, okay, if I could just push all this good stuff out, people will see that and it'll draw them to me, whether they come to get haircuts or not.
Yeah.
They'll be drawn to me, drawn to my page, drawn to see me. And so it worked, right? And first 2 weeks were really cool. I'm like, oh man, making more than I was at my full time.
I should have did this a long time ago.
Yeah. So then after everybody like showed their support for me starting my new thing,
yeah,
I was like, damn, I made $300 this week. Oh shit, what am I gonna do? And I'm like, it was just super crazy. And I'm like, oh my goodness, dude.
What did you do? Did you just have faith and people kept coming back? What happened?
No. So actually what happened was I was sitting there, right? And it started getting slower at the shop.
Mm-hmm.
And I was relying on walk-ins because before that I had like 10 regulars,
Yeah.
And so I was relying on a lot of walk-in traffic. And I was at, New York Clippers in Aurora at the time. It was cool. Like I said, the first like 2-3 weeks, maybe it was busy. I was making some good money and I'm like, man, this is really cool. Like best decision I ever made. And like I said, week 3, week 4 came around and I'm like,
yeah,
I got to figure something out. And then, so at the time, what happened was I was in barber school still, obviously finishing up barber school. And I was just talking to like some of the colleagues there or whatever. And they were like, hey, why don't you come by Elite Barbers Lounge here in Joliet? And I'm like, okay. So I actually like went and I looked at the page and stuff. And when I actually got in there, it was crazy. Because I remember walking in and I'm like, whoa, everybody here's cutting some badass hair.
Mm.
They had some, good music on. And I'm like, this is it. Like, this is the spot.
Yeah.
And I walk up to the owner. I'm like, hey, we messaged, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, all right, cool. Like, let me see your work. And I showed him. He's like, all right, when do you want to start? And I'm like, well, can I start like part-time and then like kind of transition if it ends up working out? Because I live out in Oswego, it's a 40-minute drive, blah, 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 blah. He's like, yeah, cool. I ended up doing that. And then I'm making more money at Elite the few hours I was there than I was at the other spot. So I'm like, all right, well, it makes sense. Let me just go over here. Then went over there and just started hustling, man, and just kept working and working. Like I said, that was 2017. It was actually kind of funny too. I did a teeth whitening service yesterday.
Okay.
And I was talking to this guy and he was like, you know, how long you been cutting for? And I didn't really like, it's just so funny. We get so caught up in the grind and moving forward and the next project. We don't really notice how far we've come.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, 2017. And then I'm like, oh shit, 2021, I opened my shop. I'm like, damn, that was 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's crazy. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened.
Yeah.
Like, and it's funny too, because a lot of people would like, people I went to school with or just individuals that I knew from the workplace or whatever, I would see them at the gym or at stores and like, man, you blew up, your stuff's blowing up. And to me, I never really like noticed. And I was just like, okay. Sometimes I would think they were like kind of like teasing me almost, right? But that's because my vision and eyes are set elsewhere. So they see all this stuff. And like, I guess I don't really see like the benefits or the good that I'm doing, right? Because I'm over there already.
Yeah.
And it's just little things like that. And I'm like, dang, yeah, I guess